Hi, I'm Jason Ray with Simply Home with today's tech tip. Today we're going to be talking about how to replace your battery when you get a low battery signal. All of our sensors are wireless in your home, so that means that they run off of a battery. Just like any other devices you have in your home that run on a battery, they will need to be replaced periodically. Our system will monitor the status of all the batteries that you have in your sensors, and if you have a low battery, it will generate an alert to you, an email or a text message to let you know. The average lifespan of the battery depends, it varies for each type of sensor and how often it's used. If it's used more often, the battery life will be decreased, obviously. But generally you should see at least a year out of each one of your batteries. Sometimes we see as much as 4 or 5 years out of the batteries. It just, again, depends on use and the type of battery that you have. When you have a low battery, again, you'll get the email or text message alert. And if you don't know which sensor it is that's generating a low battery signal, you can contact your Simply Home customer support representative and we will let you know which battery it is. And that's important because different sensors have different types of batteries. So in determining what type of battery you need to replace it, you'll first need to start by determining which sensor is generating the low battery signal. Oftentimes you can find the different batteries at your local hardware store or Radio Shack or things like that. If you can't or would just like us to supply them for you, we can certainly do that for you as well. But we'll walk through each one of the sensors you see here. These are the most common sensors that we have in a home, and we'll show you how to replace the battery, and it's a really quick and easy process. We have two different types of panic sensors. We have a small panic sensor which can be worn as a watch or a necklace or mounted on the wall. We have a larger version which can also be worn or mounted on a wall. And then we also have some door sensors and a motion detector here. Starting with the panic sensors, we'll take a look at the small panic sensor first, and you'll see that you may need a Phillips or flathead screwdriver in order to change batteries in your different sensors. In this case, we need a Phillips head. You'll see that there's 4 screws on the back, and it's as simple as taking each one of these screws out, and just take note of how you disassemble this so that when you put it back the exact same way. The panic sensors are water resistant and they have a rubber seal ring inside them, so you need to make sure that that goes back in the same way that you took it out. So after you get each one of the screws out, you'll see that the top and bottom just pull apart here. You'll see the rubber seal ring right there, and simply turn the circuit board over and you'll see the battery right there. You just press on the back side there, you'll see it pops out. Take note of the polarity with the positive being up and the negative being on the bottom. And get your new battery and insert it just like it was before. And then replace the circuit board back in the same configuration you had it and put the screws back on the back. Taking a look at the larger panic sensor, this one only has 2 screws, again Phillips head. And you'll see, if you still have this clip attached, by taking the top one out, it will simply come off. And then once you take the bottom one out, the 2 sides will come apart, again exposing the battery inside. It's just a simple removal of the battery there and replace it with the new one. And again, put the top back on and the clip if you need it, and put the screws back in, and you're ready to go. On the door sensors, again, we have 2 different versions, the micro and the standard. On the micro, it is handy to have a small flathead screwdriver to help in changing the battery. You'll see on the back these 2 notches where you can pry the sensor off, and you may have to remove the sensor from where it's installed in order to do this. But once you have the top off, you'll see again that it has the battery right here, and much like on the small panic sensor, you can just press that out the back. Take the battery out, get the new battery, again making sure you keep the polarity the same, and then snap the top back on in the same way you had it before. Moving on to the large door sensor, this one you really don't need any tools for. If you take a look at the sensor, you'll see one side has this little notch off one side. On that side, if you simply press in on the top, so on the top piece right here, not on the bottom, press in on the top right there, it will depress this little tongue you see sticking out there and allow you to take the top off. Again, exposing the battery. Just a matter of taking the battery out, getting the new battery, and putting it back into place and replacing the top. Easy as that. Moving on to the motion detector. It will be handy to have a small flathead screwdriver in order to change the battery on this sensor. You'll see if you look at the back, there is a small hole here that has a notch on it that allows you to release the back of the unit from the front of the unit. So if you take your small screwdriver and insert it and simply pry it up, you should be able to release the back cover from the front, again exposing the battery, and you should be able to just pop that battery out, get your new battery, again keeping the polarity the same, insert it, and replace it. If you have any trouble replacing any of the batteries on your sensors, as always, please contact your Simply Home customer support representative at 877-684-3581. Thanks.